The house was a Victorian conversion in the city's historic district. 3 stories, original hardwood, and a walled garden, rare for downtown. I've been living on the 3rd floor for 2 years, while my sister Nicole occupied the first 2 floors with her family. She'd moved in temporarily while looking for a place. Temporary became 2 years. I work from home, running my consulting firm from the 3rd floor office. Meridian Solutions specialize in corporate restructuring, demanding work, lucrative income. Nicole was a stay-at-home mom to 3 children, ages 8 to 14. Her husband, Brian, worked in sales. Designer clothes for the kids, private sports leagues, annual ski trips. I rarely saw them. They used the main entrance. I used the side door. We shared the garden, though Nicole had increasingly treated it as her own. The dinner invitation came via text. Family dinner Sunday. Mom's coming. We need to talk about the house situation. I should have known something was wrong. I arrived at 6. Mom was already there, sitting at the head of Nicole's dining table. Brian opened wine. The 3 kids barely acknowledged me. Anna, Nicole said. Have a seat. I sat at the far end. Nicole served expensive pasta from downtown. We need to discuss the living situation, she said. What about it? This house, it's not working anymore. Not working how? The kids need more space. Madison's starting high school. She needs her own room. The boys are sharing and fighting, and you're taking up an entire floor. I live here. But do you need all that space? You're one person. We're a family of 5. Mom nodded. Anna's always been selfish about space. We've been looking at houses, Brian said, but the market's impossible. Everything's in the suburbs. The suburbs are nice, Mom offered. We don't want suburbs, Nicole said firmly. Our life is here. This house is perfect for a growing family. Here's what we're thinking. You move out, find an apartment in the suburbs. We'll take over the whole house. It makes sense. We're a family. You're single. You don't need this space. Where would I go? Lots of places. Apartments, condos. You work from home. You could live anywhere. The suburbs are more your level anyway. Mom nodded. You work from home. You could live anywhere. Nicole has children to consider. Madison spoke up. When Aunt Anna moves out, can I have the 3rd floor? It has the best windows. We'll see, Nicole said. We might turn it into a media room. I want pool parties in the garden, the youngest said. Maybe an above-ground pool, Ryan said, smiling. They were planning, already dividing my space, discussing renovations. I set down my fork. You're asking me to move out. We're telling you, Nicole corrected. You're evicted. We've been patient for 2 years. Our family is growing, and your lifestyle isn't compatible anymore. My lifestyle. You're never here, always traveling for work or locked in your office. You don't contribute to the household. You don't help with the kids. You're basically a ghost who happens to pay some bills. I pay bills, I repeated. Well, yes. We appreciate that. But that's not enough anymore. We need the space more than you do. Mom reached over and patted Nicole's hand. You're being very reasonable about this. Anna needs to understand that family comes first. She's had 2 years here. That's generous. When do you want me out? I asked. Nicole glanced at Brian. End of the month. That gives you 3 weeks. Plenty of time to find a place. End of the month, I repeated. Don't be dramatic. You're smart. You have a good job. You'll find something. Maybe a nice 1-bedroom in the suburbs. Somewhere with lower rent so you can save money. You think I need to save money? Everyone needs to save money, Mom said. And honestly, Anna, this house is probably too expensive for you long term. Better to find something more in your price range. The doorbell rang. Nicole looked confused. Who's that? Brian went to answer it. A woman's voice carried from the hallway, professional and friendly. Hello, I'm looking for Nicole Morrison. I'm Sarah Chen from Parkside Realty. My real estate agent. Nicole's face lit up. Oh, you're early. I thought we said 7. Sarah appeared in the dining room doorway, tablet in hand. Then she saw me and stopped. Miss Hayes, I didn't realize you'd be here. You know each other? Nicole asked. Ms. Hayes is my client, Sarah said carefully. Your client? Nicole's smile faltered. I called you about listing this property. I'm the one who lives here. Lives here, Sarah repeated, glancing at me. I stood up slowly. Nicole, why did you call a real estate agent? To list the house, obviously. Once you're out, we're going to sell it. The market's hot right now, and we can use the equity to buy something bigger, Something actually ours. Something actually yours, I said. Well, the house is in a family trust, technically, but we've been living here, maintaining it. That has to count for something legally. Sarah said she could help us navigate that. Sarah looked uncomfortable. Mrs. Morrison, I think there's been a misunderstanding. What misunderstanding? Nicole's voice was sharp now. I walked to the sideboard where I'd left my bag earlier and pulled out a folder I prepared that morning after Nicole's text made me suspicious. Inside were documents I'd printed from my company files. Sarah, you remember when I purchased this property 2 years ago? Through Meridian Solutions? Of course. It was a complex transaction. The property was distressed and needed significant repairs. Your company acquired it below market value. Nicole stood up. What are you talking about? This house belongs to the family trust. Dad set it up before he died. Dad's trust owned a small rental property in the suburbs, I said. Worth maybe $200,000. That was divided between us after probate. You got $100,000 cash. I got $100,000 cash. This house has nothing to do with Dad's estate. But you said, Nicole's face was pale now. When I needed a place to stay, you said there was family property available. I said I had property available. I never said it was family property. But the trust. There is no trust. This house is owned by Meridian Solutions, my consulting firm. I purchased it 2 years ago as a business asset. The 3rd floor is my office. The lower floors I allowed you to use temporarily. Brian was staring at the documents Sarah was reviewing on her tablet. This can't be right. It's absolutely right, Sarah said quietly. I handled the purchase myself. Meridian Solutions is the sole owner of this property. Ms. Hayes is the sole owner of Meridian Solutions. Nicole grabbed the papers from my hand. You're lying. You can't afford this house. This property is worth at least $900,000 in the current market. $1.1 million, actually, Sarah corrected. Based on recent comparables. You don't have that kind of money. Nicole's voice was rising. You work from home doing consulting. That's not real money. That's not buy $1 million house money. Meridian Solutions grossed $3.2 million last year, I said. I have 17 corporate clients on retainer. I specialize in restructuring failing companies. My fee is $20,000 per project, plus percentage points on savings achieved. I've closed 43 projects in 2 years. Mom's mouth had fallen open. $3 million? Gross. My take-home after expenses and taxes is about $800,000 annually. The house purchase was financed partially. My company pays the mortgage monthly, about $4,000 per month. $4,000, Brian whispered. Plus property taxes of $18,000 annually. Insurance, utilities, maintenance, all paid through the company since this is my primary office location. Nicole was shaking her head. You live on the 3rd floor. You dress like. You drive a Honda. You don't act like you have money. I don't act like I need to prove I have money. There's a difference. But you let us think. You never said. You never asked. You assumed. You saw me working from home and decided that meant I was barely making ends meet. You saw me drive a practical car and decided I was poor. You made assumptions based on surface appearances. Mom finally found her voice. Anna, if you owned this house, why didn't you tell us? Would it have changed how you treated me? Would you have been kinder? More respectful? Or would you have just asked for money? Silence. You let us live here, Nicole said slowly. Why? Because you needed help. You and Brian couldn't afford rent in the city. The kids needed stable schooling. I had space. I thought we could coexist. But you were going to kick us out eventually. I wasn't going to do anything. I was letting you stay until you found your footing. But tonight, you announced you were evicting me from my own property. You divided up my space. Your children planned pool parties in my garden. You called my real estate agent to sell my house. Sarah cleared her throat. For the record, Mrs. Morrison, I came tonight thinking you were a tenant who'd been given notice. You called saying the owner was moving out and you wanted to discuss listing options. I had no idea you were planning to evict the actual owner. Nicole sank into her chair. This isn't happening. What happens now? Brian asked quietly. I looked at Sarah. What do you think? Market conditions? Strong seller's market. A property this size, in this location with a garden? You'd have offers within a week. Probably above asking. And the timeline for vacant possession? If you have sitting tenants, you'd need to provide proper notice. 60 days is standard. Though given they have children, courts might grant more time. Nicole's head snapped up. You're evicting us? You can't do that. Can't I? You just announced you were evicting me. Now I'm supposed to just accept that you live in my house indefinitely. We're family. Family doesn't evict each other, I said. Family doesn't mock each other's lifestyle. Family doesn't plan to sell each other's property. You set the terms tonight, Nicole. You just didn't realize whose property you were claiming. Mom stood up. Anna, please, the children. Think of the children. I am thinking of them. I'm thinking about what you're teaching them, that they're entitled to other people's property, that adults who work quietly must be poor, that evicting family members is acceptable if you want their space. Madison was crying quietly. The boys looked confused and scared. Brian had his head in his hands. I'll give you 90 days, I said. 3 months to find a place. I'll cover this month's utilities as the notice period. After that, you're responsible for everything until you leave. And to be clear, you're not tenants, you're occupants I allowed to stay. There's no lease, no rental agreement. Just my generosity, which you mistook for weakness. Where will we go? Nicole whispered. The suburbs, I imagine. You said yourself they're nice. More space, better schools, more your level. The irony landed. She flinched. Sarah quietly excused herself. I'll send you the market analysis tomorrow, Ms. Hayes, for when you're ready to list. After she left, the dining room was silent except for Madison sniffling. I need to make some calls, Ryan said finally. He left the room with his phone. Mom looked at me with something like shock. I don't understand. You've been successful all this time and never said anything? Would it have mattered? Tonight you told me the suburbs were more my level. That I should find something affordable. That I needed to make room for real family. If you'd known I owned this house, would you have said those things? No, but... Exactly. You would have treated me better because of money, not because I deserve respect. That's worse. Nicole wiped her eyes. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You just assumed, judged, and decided you deserved what I had. The kids' schools can be changed. Children adapt. You'll figure it out, just like every other family who can't afford the city. You're really going to make us leave. You really tried to evict me from my own house. At a family dinner. With your children planning pool parties before I was even gone. Actions have consequences, Nicole. I stood up. I'm going back to my floor, my office, in my house. You have 90 days to make arrangements. After that, if you're still here, I'll begin formal eviction proceedings. I walked to the stairs, then paused. And Nicole, the garden is off limits now. No more fire pit, no furniture, no pool party planning. It's my property. Act accordingly. I heard her crying as I climbed the stairs. In my office, I sat at my desk and looked at the garden below, Nicole's fire pit, her expensive furniture arranged like she owned the place. Tomorrow, I'd have it removed. My phone buzzed. Sarah texted, "Let me know when you want to list. That property deserves owners who appreciate it." I typed back, "Give me 4 months. I want them gone first." 4 months, 90 days for them to leave, 30 for me to renovate. Or maybe I'd keep the whole house for myself, all 3 floors. Host dinners for people who didn't mock my Honda or assume I needed the suburbs. I looked at the deed documentation, my company's name in clear legal type, Meridian Solutions, sole owner. Nicole had assumed I was poor because I was quiet about money. Mom had assumed I was lower class because I didn't perform wealth. Now they knew the truth. And in 90 days, they'd be gone. The house would be mine again, fully, completely, without occupants who mistook generosity for weakness. I started drafting a formal notice to Nicole and Brian. Legal proper. My lawyer would review it tomorrow. Then I'd mail it certified, return receipt requested. Because the suburbs, it turned out, were more their level after all, just not the way they'd meant it.